Greetings! I am Herbert Erpaderp, and today we'll be having a look at what's in this box. If the box is to be believed, we'll find a Houston, we've had a problem.
I don't think that's what it is, Herbert. Why don't you read a little bit more?
Okay. It's a 72nd scale plastic model kit of the Apollo 13 from Dragon. Inside the box, we find several plastic sprues, as one would expect. If you've been around my channel for a while, you probably won't be surprised to learn that I can't identify all of these parts. After all, I'm not a rocket scientist. The parts do look quite nice and neatly molded though, which is probably a little bit more important than me knowing the names of the parts. This sprue here has the various parts of the command capsule and engine bell. These parts look pretty decent, though there is a bit of a mold line around the base of the capsule. And I would say that this is probably the worst mold line in the kit, at least that I can see. And you might say, it doesn't look that bad. And that's true, that's my point, it's not that bad, and it shouldn't be too difficult to clean up. I think the rocket bell or engine bell, whichever is more correct, looks pretty good too. I'm not sure how the inside of these should look, but this does seem appropriate. Better than it just being smooth at least. There's another engine bell on this sprue, which is a bit smaller, but it still has that detail on the inside. Looks good. There's also various chunks of lunar module. These parts look like they should go together pretty well, and hopefully they do so without issue. Otherwise I'll be upset, I guess. I've not built a lot of Dragon kits, and certainly no Dragon space vehicles, but they seem to be held in fairly high regard, and looking at these parts, I'm not expecting any real issues. I'm sure if there are problems though, it'll be a right good laugh on stream when old Herbert gets all confused and such. And if you aren't interested in watching this get built live, I will also point out any issues I do encounter in the build video. Like I said though, I'm not expecting any real issues, and I'm hoping no carpet monster attacks happen either. But those aren't really the fault of the kit, it's the carpet monster's fault. Or maybe mine for not sacrificing parts to it. Some of these parts do look a little bit fiddly, particularly on this sprue. It's probably stating the obvious, but I would suggest, to you and myself, that some care should be taken with these thin, fiddly looking parts. You might look at some of these parts and think,
oh, they're a bit messed up,
with that texture, and I would assume that means that you haven't seen any of these spacecraft. It's a kind of foil-looking insulation, and that's about the extent of my knowledge of it. It looks fairly convincingly replicated on these parts, and on this, I don't know what it's called. The base of the lander? It probably has a very specific technical name that somebody that isn't me knows. If there were any mold lines on this part, they might be a little bit hard to find, but that might not necessarily be a bad thing. They might blend in so well that nobody else finds them either. I'm sure it'll be fine. Here's a bunch of little thrusters, which are pretty helpful if you need to maneuver in space.
It's not a real spacecraft, Herbert.
It is to me, damn it. There's not much to say about these. They look good, and hopefully they don't get eaten by the carpet monster. These things here mostly look like leg parts for the lander. They might be a little bit fiddly. I'll probably use that word a whole bunch of times when working on these, just to let you know that they are fiddly. There's some more lander stuff here, with a little bit of the insulation texture, and I probably mentioned earlier that the parts are neat and crisp looking, but here's another good example of some nice, cleanly molded parts. It makes me excited to start putting this thing together. I'm not sure what these parts are, but they were in the box, so they've probably got some use. Oh, photo etch. I've had my fill of photo etch lately, and I don't really want to do more, but these little dishes do look rather good, and I'm pretty sure they won't require any bending or anything, so they'll be fine, and I probably won't complain too much about them. That also means if you enjoy watching old Herbert struggle with photo etch, you're out of luck. The kit comes with this stand, and it really does seem like the sort of model where a stand to hold it would almost be necessary. I'm hoping there's a way to secure it to the stand really well, so it doesn't just fall off, and I guess we'll find out how that works later. These screws probably have something to do with it. Decals. There's a lot of little warning labels and stuff here, and they look really good. The only problem I'm seeing here is, where do they go? There doesn't seem to be a decal placement guide in the instructions. Maybe there's a leaflet in the box that I missed or something. Or maybe you just have to do the research to look that stuff up yourself. It's something for future Herbert to worry about, because I won't be painting it for a while. Speaking of instructions, here they are. Looking at all of the parts, I would have expected a few more diagrams, but then I've never built a spaceship. Not a real one anyway, so what would I know? These instructions do seem to be easy enough to understand and follow, though to be fair, they do usually seem that way. I mean, they often are, but if there are any problems, I'll be sure to mention them in the build video. Okay, so that's everything in the box. I'm kind of excited about this. It'll be my first real spacecraft build. I mean, I have built Star Wars and Star Trek stuff before, but not real actual historical spacecraft. So that's pretty exciting. And that means I will be starting fairly soon, maybe in the next week or two. I'll be doing this on my morning streams, that being in the morning my time, Australian time, so check my stream schedule to find out when that is your time. You can find said schedule over on twitch.tv/Herbert_Erpaderp. There's a convenient link you can click on in the description. I'm anticipating this to be a pretty fun build, and it stands to reason that the streams will also be fun, so feel free to drop on by. If that's not your thing, that's okay. There will be a build video here on YouTube eventually, and because I've got no idea how long this thing will actually take to build, I can't say when that YouTube video will be ready, but it'll be here eventually. That might be enough waffling for now. I do hope this video has been somewhat helpful for you if you're considering buying this kit. If you've got any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comment section below. If you've not already done so, why not subscribe here on YouTube? It's free and it's probably fun. Or, if you've got the means and you want to help Herbert Erpaderp do Herbert Erpaderp things, and see my videos a bit early before there's any ads, consider becoming a patron. You can find links to Patreon, and all of my other things like Discord and Twitch and social media in the description below. And, as always, I shall return soon. So until then, be excellent to each other, have a nice day, and thanks for watching. Farewell.